Some people burst, but I thrive under pressure. I hold them down from distance like I was playing catcher. I pray to God, life is crazy, you know he'll test you. For real. Yeah. You know he'll test you. I'm a living legend in the making, don't care what you think about it. The only time I step inside a bank is for deposit. Failure's always present, but for me it's not an option. Cause I gotta feed my family and I know the critics watch. They don't wanna see you win, so they gon' try to stop it. A humble guy until you cross that line, then I'ma pop it. Choking out the competition on my search Ibaka. Don't associate with lames and haters, they are all imposters. All right, guys, I got to put my big boy voice on. I'm not sitting behind my desk today where it's quiet, but we have a special episode today on the process, and we have a very, very special guest. We have Miss Stacey, who is the Black Feather Intuitive. I know y'all are wondering, the hell is the Black Feather Intuitive? We're going to get into all of that. She's a channeler, an oracle, healer, so many different hats and titles. But I'm going to turn this over to Miss Stacey to tell you more about who she is. So everyone, welcome Miss Stacey. I'm the only one clapping.
Thank you. I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you for that warm welcome. And thank you for having me today, DeAndre. It's very exciting to be here. I'm Stacey, the Black Feather Intuitive. I am an oracle, an intuitive, a channeler, a healer, and that's why I just lump it all under the Black Feather Intuitive, because it's just a mouthful to say. But what does it all mean? It means that I have connected with my psychic and my intuitive abilities. It's part of my path. It's part of my purpose. And over the process, yuck. The process of my my particular journey, I have expanded and grown into all sorts of things. You know, I've gone down the rabbit hole. I've drank the Kool-Aid or drunk the Kool-Aid, however they say that, and really explored. I went from, you know, just wanting to be psychic and receiving all of this information and visions through dreams and didn't know what to do with it, to, you know, sort of graduating, I guess you could say, or exploring or expanding into I channel other beings. And I can tell you, you know, 10 years ago, if you would have told me that I was going to be channeling other beings from, you know, from other realms, I would have looked at you like you had 10 heads and said, oh, hell no, I don't want to be that weird person. That's not who I am. Right. And yet it is who I am. And I've learned over time to embrace it and to love it. So what is an oracle? An oracle, about the oracles of Delphi, back in Grecian times. Oracles received messaging from the gods into an altered state to be able to deliver that message, deliver that information to masses of people. There wasn't a one-on-one connection. It's more, here's the information I'm getting and here's what I'm delivering to you. Me as intuitive or as psychic, the receivation, I like to connect one-on-one with individuals, and it's less about, you know, I get what I get and you get what I get, and that's the way it is. There's more of a, I don't want to say an interpretation, because it's not me interpreting as much as it's me connecting my heart to your heart and saying, here's the information I'm receiving and here's how you can apply it to make your life better. Here's how you can apply it to really empower yourself, or to understand yourself more deeply, more intuitively, or to really get connected to your purpose and your path. So intuition and psychic ability is kind of lumped into the oracle, but slightly different in its delivery. Right. And then the healer, there are many healers out there. If you've ever experienced Reiki healing, that's a really popular thing. It's basically, when we were talking about this earlier, everything is energy. Everything that we touch is energy. So we have access to energy. And energy healers tap into that energy and tap into the energy of source and are able to sort of go into the body in your energetic field to kind of ascertain what's going on, to say, where's a misalignment? Because when we are out of alignment in our energetic bodies, that reflects over time. If we don't fix it, that reflects in our physical bodies with dis-ease, with illness. So I am a big believer in, if you have something physical going on with you, there's always an emotional component. And that emotional component is tied to the energetic system that is you. You know, we are all our own individual universe. So being a healer, I am not, you know, the MD doctor. I did not study for, 10 years and, I'm going to perform surgery on you or prescribe anything for you. But what I can do is I can go in and evaluate energetically what's going on in the body and let you know, hey, there's an imbalance here. We need to look at this over there. You might want to think about adding this here. And energetically, we can realign you. And that's not only realigning you physically, that's realigning you to your purpose, to your path. Some people say to your mission in this world. So the healer aspect is really diving into, I want to say, the core energetics where we can get more tangible with the energy. And then what else do I call myself? Channeler. So the channeling is, and there are different degrees and levels of channeling. I personally do not do trance channeling, which is where, a person goes away and another person comes in and they do all sorts of movements and stuff. I'm too much of a control freak for that. I don't want anything coming into my body doing that stuff. So what I do is I do like a really deep semi-conscious channeling. And what that means is I go into a deep meditative state and I invite in guides and archangels, ascended masters, whoever I'm comfortable working with. And I do have my own council. I have my own team of beings that I connect with, and they offer guidance on anything and everything that comes through. So I'm there, I'm present when this happens, but I'm sort of to the side of myself. And there's this other being that is speaking through me. I'm using different wording, different inflections. It's still all really fascinating to me how it all works.
So tell me this, because I believe there are a lot of people who may be experiencing some of these same things and are like, what the F?
Yeah.
When did your awakening happen? When did that happen? Were there certain signs? Were there certain feelings? And I ask that because, again, there are people out there who may be experiencing some of these same things and they feel weird. They feel like an outcast.
Yes.
They feel different. So when was your awakening?
So first of all, yes, excellent question to ask, because it's so true. There are so many people who are in an awakening state right now, and more people are awakening on the planet today than ever in human history. So it's very important that you understand that it's part of our evolutionary process as humans, as people on the planet, and you aren't alone. And, seek out people like me to help guide you through the process, because there are people who will speak your language. So in terms of my own awakening, it's kind of a long, complicated story, and brevity isn't my strong suit. So I'll try to give you the bullet points here. I have been psychic and strange and weird since I popped out of the womb. And I was born into a very religious family, and I was also born into a family where there was a lot of chaos, there was a lot of violence, there was a lot of dysfunction, a lot of addiction. And so at a very young age, I had to shut down all my spidey senses. I had to shut down all my feelings and emotions, because it was really about survival for me in that moment. So my awakening was kind of twofold. I kind of popped out of the womb awake and psychic and receiving dreams and all sorts of things, but had no frame of reference, had no one around me that, had any kind of languaging or understanding of what that was. And then as I got a little bit older, I started to know things about people and say things about people, and it really came through in dreams. I'm thinking right now, there was a time, I think I was 9 or 10. And by the way, time, I suck at time. I'm in multiple different dimensions all the time. So I'm telling you 9 or 10, it could have been 12, it could have been 2. But I'm thinking it was around 9 or 10. I woke up with from a nightmare that my sister was going to die. And I woke up in this panic, because this was a different dream than some of the other dreams, and it felt so real. And I went to my parents I was very distraught. And they're like, there, you know, pat me on the head and go to bed. And I had the dream the next night. And I said, no, you have to listen to me. There's something wrong. We have to look at my sister's leg. Something's going to happen to her. She's going to die. So they pulled her out of bed, looked at her leg, and sure enough, overnight, there was this huge lump that had developed on the back of her leg. Now, in the end, my sister's alive. She's fine. Everything's okay. It turned out to be benign. But it really was evident and clear. And basically, my entire family decided that I was, you know, akin to the devil in many ways, because I prophesied something. And then they were able to say, well, no, she's not going to die, and she didn't die, and it wasn't serious. So they just kind of shoved it under the rug. And what that did for me was it shut me down and in, and I am wrong, and there's something wrong with me. And so then I couldn't trust my intuition. I couldn't trust myself. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced that in your awakening as well, is how do I learn to trust myself? Because I've been in the world long enough, and I make these decisions and things go weird, or things go wonky, or things go off when I don't listen to myself, but everybody else thinks I'm crazy. So I basically just shut everything down and shut everything off. Little things would kind of sneak in here and there, but it wasn't until I left for university that things really. I'm Canadian. I just realized I said university instead of college. I'm originally from Canada. So when I started college, university, and I moved out on my own, I, made some new friends, and we connected, and we went to this metaphysical shop one afternoon in between classes, and I bought my first deck of tarot cards. And if anyone, you guys don't know me, but I'm going to just let you in on a little secret here. I'm quite impulsive about things. When it comes to something that I really want, right. I'm the girl that buys it in the store and has them clip the sales tag off because I want to wear it out of the store because I'm so excited about the purchase,
yeah,
right?
I've been there with some shoes.
Exactly. Well, I'm there with a lot. So I bought that tarot deck, and it sat on my bedside table for 3 weeks because I had such fear around what I had been taught about the devil and tarot and Ouija and tapping into spirits and all of that kind of stuff.
See, I want to go into that a little bit deeper because I grew up Christian.
Yeah.
Right? I grew up Christian, and there are a lot of you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't go get psychic readings, you don't mess with Ouija boards and voodoo and just a lot of the things that you don't do. These are all pagan things and of the devil.
Yes.
What do you say to people who are experiencing these things, as I am? I will say I'm going through this awakening.
Yeah.
Where there have been things that I've been drawn to, things that have come so easily for me, that you try to talk to people about what you're experiencing, and the only thing they can say is, oh, well, that's not real, or common thing that I've gotten, oh, just pray about it.
Right.
What do you say to those people that are experiencing these things, but religion and what we have been taught comes to the forefront and it shuts people down? What would you say to these people?
So I'm just going to use this as an example. I've got a tarot deck here.
Okay.
So I'm holding up this tarot deck. This is a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is a piece of paper. We assign it value.
Mm-hmm.
If you're assigning it a value and there's fear attached to it, it becomes a scary thing.
Right.
It's kind of like if we talk about money, not to get all political, but if we talk about money really is, if you just get down to the heart of it, it's a piece of paper. But we have assigned a value to it, right? So when you've got someone who says, oh, don't work with tarot cards because it's the devil, that's their fear that they are expressing to you about something that they don't know about. And what are humans really good at? Humans are really good at being afraid of the unknown.
Well, isn't that because our minds are wired for
Absolutely.
Survival? My girlfriend and I talked about this a lot, how like back in the times of cavemen, it wasn't that they were going out to get food to be like, oh my gosh, let's go explore this land. They would walk out and it was almost okay, what are the things that could kill me?
Yes.
So I definitely believe that our minds are wired for survival. It's fear-based.
Yes.
How do you break out of that? Because you talk about value. And To me, it's all about what you believe.
Yes.
How do you know what to believe when there's so many different things that are so much information that's coming to you? How do you know what to believe?
Well, and that is the crux of it. I would tell anyone who is coming out of some kind of fear-based dynamic or coming out of a more, I want to say, a more extremist approach to religion, that you are a sovereign being. You have the right to ask questions. You have the right to do some exploration for yourself. You have the right to, read a few books on it, get some opinions outside of maybe the culture you were raised in or the family beliefs and dynamics. And a big part of that often happens when we do go out on our own and sort of learn about what is there. Not everyone is fear-based, but a lot of us have been taught to think in a little box. If you get out of this box, you don't know what's going to happen. This could be horrible. It's going to be really bad. So just stay inside the box. Well, what is that person's motivation? Most people live unaware, unconscious. And isn't that what we're talking about?
Like
There's awakening, right? It's, no, I'm recognizing in myself, and it has nothing to do with anybody else. I'm recognizing in myself when someone says to me, oh, that's bad, or that's, this is akin to the devil. How does it feel on the inside? Well, I don't think that's akin to the devil. Well, that feels weird. Or,
do we even know who or what the devil is? Because it to me, it just sounds like everything regarding the devil is something bad.
Yes.
And from the stories that we have been told, the devil or Satan or Lucifer was once this beautiful angel that was cast from heaven because he
rebelled.
He rebelled, but it was more of the fact that he didn't necessarily follow the same path that all of the other angels followed.
Right.
He didn't follow this. What's the correct word I'm looking for?
Well, the prescribed way of being.
He didn't follow the prescribed way of being, and he had questions, or he wanted to be like God is the thing that we say. And so from that, he was cast from heaven and deemed this bad being.
Right. So what do you learn from that allegory?
The thing I learned from that is you can't question who God is.
Exactly.
You can't question him. You can't even remotely think of yourself as a God, because there is only one supreme being, and I am to follow or do or obey what he says, no question asked, blindly. And me blindly following something is considered faith.
Right.
Is what we're told. And now today I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
because inside of you, you're going, something doesn't resonate. Right. Something feels off, because there's an inner knowing and an inner truth within you that says, that feels a little bit like control.
Right.
Someone's trying to sell me some swampland down in Florida, and I'm not buying it.
Right.
But I don't necessarily know what to replace it with. And that's what a lot of humans like to do, is they like to be able to prove things, right? If this isn't it, then I'm uncomfortable with the void. I'm uncomfortable with the space of the not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get comfortable with the uncomfortability of that void, we get to know the void, and we get to the other side of it, where then there becomes truth and clarity, or awareness and understanding. But most of us do not allow ourselves to sit in that uncomfortability or that not knowing, right? Because we have been programmed from a fear-based place to say, if you don't do this, you're going to die. Now, we live in a very different society today, where we don't have lions and tigers and bears, oh my, running around and getting ready to, have us for their breakfast or lunch or dinner. But we do have a lot of, I want to say, dynamics of control that are sort of insidious in all of the different things that we do. And if you are just going on about your day completely unaware, you are going to, for lack of better words, be triggered at random things. The fear is going to come up, because the idea is at the core, and it doesn't make logical sense, but at the core of you, it's, I'm going to die. If I stray from the pack, if I do something different, if I go off the beaten track, I'm going to die. Some tiger's going to eat me. It's not true anymore. You're not going to die if you're asking questions. And I'm going to just say here, we are so lucky and grateful. Oh, is this the camera?
No, you have to say, I was just thinking.
I've been looking at this thing all along, and here's the camera.
They're both working. I'm producing. They're not supposed to, they get this on the Black Feather Intuitive. This is how our show on Wednesday nights works. She starts saying things to me, and then I have to speak.
Well, I like to have a little banter, I like to have a little banter. So sorry, I got two cameras here. So I'm going to just look in the middle.
No, you're
and then
fine.
I can get to both of you.
Here, just look here. You're fine. Do what you were doing.
One of the things I wanted to mention, because before we started the show, we were talking about feeling
Yes.
versus
Frequency. Love is frequency, not as feeling.
Right. So can you go dive a little bit into the feeling versus the frequency for people who are like, well, speaking of love, oh my gosh, I am in love with Stephen.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with Jane. Is that real? Is being in love a real thing?
Yeah. So absolutely, being in love is a very real thing. We as human beings have the wonderful ability to feel and to feel deeply and to feel the scope and breadth of so much. That's one of the reasons that we have chosen to be on Mother Earth and in this, embodied in having these experiences at this time. Yes, all of those feelings are real, but are feelings true? And that was something that we talked about.
Yeah.
Feelings aren't true or false. Feelings just are. And we as a society for, eons have been taught that love is a feeling that we need to strive for. We need to seek it out. If we feel love, we're going to feel joy and everything's going to be happy and everything is awesome, right? But at times it can be very elusive. And so I talk a lot with my clients, with my following, about love as frequency, not as feeling. This is a new energy that we are birthing in humanity at this time and on planet Earth. And there's a different vibe, a different hum, a different frequency because everything is energy. Well, love is energy. And so if love is everything and everything is energy, you want to connect to the frequency of what you're trying to achieve. So when you're in love with someone, you definitely have all the feels. You might get the butterflies, your face flushes every time you see them. You can't stop thinking about kissing them, all of those things. Your heart swells. I always talk about the Dr. Seuss and the Grinch, his heart grew 3 sizes that day, plus 2. You can feel those things, right? That's all real. That's all legitimate. But those feelings don't always last in those ways. And so we as humans have been programmed to seek out that feeling. Well, if that feeling comes and goes, you start to question, am I really in love? What is love? We talked earlier about, there's familial love, there's sibling love, there's, being in love with your friends. There's falling in love with a partnership. There's love of our animals, right? Love of our pets. Our heart has such capacity to love so many things and in so many ways that how can you just kind of quantify that or shrink that down into one feeling? So it's all about frequency. And you and I connecting right now, if I connect my heart to your heart, we experience a particular exchange of energy. And we can feel that love. We can feel that level of bond, just as you're a human and I'm a human. And we're both experiencing this and sharing this human experience together for this particular period of time. There can be love there. And then we can expand on that frequency. We can raise and elevate, and we can lower our frequencies and vibrations to connect with the people, places, and things that we are drawn to connect with.
For the people that are out there who are experiencing some of these things, can you share a little bit about how you channeled to then walk into this path that you're walking? I don't know if I'm posing the question the right way, but what are some of the things that you did to kind of hone in on these skill sets that you have to be able to understand what your purpose is? We've talked about star seeds, which is a completely
it's a different show.
Oh my gosh, that alone. But were there certain techniques or certain things, certain people you had to connect with to help you come into your understanding of who you are?
Yeah. So for me, my own personal journey, I really had to overcome the fear that of basically how I was raised and what I lived in for a while. So there was a lot of, I want to say, trauma healing that was involved. And a lot of that was reading a lot of different books on fear, anxiety, how to overcome all of those things. I remember there was a book, it's very old now, but it was called The Gift of Fear. I think the author's name was Gavin something. And that was really powerful. That really helped to shift my energy and my understanding, because before I could really fully connect to myself and learn how to trust my intuition and trust what I was receiving, I had to get out of a space of fear, because fear shuts it all down.
It does.
So my journey, I had to go through that process first. And when I started to do the healing work and to sort of release a lot of the hold on the trauma and feeling victimized in many ways and recognizing, oh, shit, I actually have some control over what I want to do. I don't have control over what comes at me, but I have control over how I choose to respond to it versus react to it.
Right.
Then little by little, I started to recognize that I could expand. I didn't have to stay so small, protecting myself. When I started to gain a little bit of confidence, I started going to see tarot readers. I was fascinated by all of it. And I always had these dreams of, I want to be psychic so bad. This is my dream. But I never believed I could, because I was so in my head about it that I got in my own way. So I always befriended all of these people, birds of a feather. I look back on it now and I realize I was drawn, to their frequency, to their energy for a reason, because birds of a feather flock together.
Does that point you towards purpose? Like these frequencies that you say, you were drawn to these particular people. Does that point to what your purpose is here on this earth? I am a believer that the spirit never dies.
Yep.
And our spirits have lived many lives past. And this time that we're in right now points to a specific purpose of what we are to do in this particular time. Can you just give a little insight to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, everyone that I was drawn to, everyone that I connected with served a strong purpose in my awakening. And all of it was, I needed to receive things in little hunks and chunks, because I really didn't have a whole lot of self-esteem or self-confidence. So for me, it was building up into that and learning to trust myself.
Right.
And each person that came into my life, that, the person who opened me up to tarot and said, it's really not a rocket science, anybody can do it. There's a system to it. And I was like, that's interesting. I never thought of it. I saw it as very, esoteric and all magical and stuff. Right. And then she started to work with me a little bit and teach me. And of course I was a lost cause. I was hopeless at that time, because I wasn't ready at that time, but she opened a door. She gave me possibility. And so she definitely was drawn into my life. Anyone that I worked with in terms of life coaches, in terms of friends that I could speak to about these things and talk about angels and talk about the dreams that I was having and share that scary things were coming true that I was seeing and they weren't freaked out by it. All of those people served a purpose, because ultimately my purpose is to serve humanity in the ways that I'm doing it. I'm here to be that channel. I'm here to not interpret, but to pass on, be a messenger, be that bridge for those who still struggle to connect this to themselves, right? So, and to help people through their awakening, to understand that you aren't alone. And there are many ways that we can work through this together and separately. And, your path is going to be very different than my path, but that's okay. We can work together to figure out how you're going to be able to navigate that and come fully into your own power.
Right.
So yeah, it's all about following the soul urging and the connection to frequency and energy that draws you into people, because we're all teachers and we're all students for one another.
Well, yeah, one of the things I think about for me personally, and I do believe that there are other people out there who are experiencing these things just like me, who were raised in a conservative or Christian or patriarchal background that says these things are bad. There's only one God, and you have to follow this path. What would be your advice to people like me who are coming into this awakening, and we've had all of this religious teaching that these things are bad and it's all God and you can't step outside of that, but I'm feeling these things and I'm having these questions or these ideas or I'm drawn to certain things. What is some of your advice to people like me and like these people?
Allow yourself to explore what you're drawn to, because you're being drawn there for a reason. There are answers for you there, and the answers may not look the way you would think that they would look, but you're going to find answers. I too was raised in everything that you just said, ultra Christian, ultra conservative, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't fit in. And even at a young age, even though I tried my best to fit in, because for me, my defense mechanism was to not bring any attention to myself at all. I wanted to be the blend in the wall because that was safe. Even with all of that, I knew going through all my catechism and all that kind of stuff, I was like, this is too easy. This is too simple. There's no heart to this. There's no bones to this. Right. It doesn't resonate. And I went on my own little seeking journey. I wanted to learn about Buddhism. I wanted to learn about Hinduism. I explored the Muslim culture and religion. I learned about all of Taoism. I explored all of it. And what I discovered, and this is pretty common knowledge, I would say now, is that there is a common thread in all of the major religions today. And so the other piece of advice or guidance that I would give to you is use your brain, use your logic, use your rationality. I'm just going to use this as an analogy. If you may believe me or you don't, you take what works for you and you leave the rest behind. That's what I always say. There are a lot of people out there who see the universe and they say, in my opinion, a very egoistic perspective, we are the only race. We're the only beings on the planet that this is a miracle and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it is a miracle, but the universe is wide and there are multiverses, right? There's stuff out there that we can't even see. From a rational perspective, you think about the ants in the anthill. Where you see one ant, you're going to see more ants because they're all over the place, right? It's the same kind of concept. If you have all of these stars and all of these planets and all of this bigness that is unknown, that we don't understand, and where do humans go when they don't understand the mystery of something? They go into fear, they go into contraction. They're right away cutting themselves off and saying, nope, we're the soul. It's all about us. The world revolves, or the universe revolves around us.
Well, one thing I would like to do, because we have these cards here, is I would like to get a reading.
Absolutely.
How does it work? Do you lay out like 5 or 6 cards and flip them over? Like, how does that work?
Yeah,
I've seen what they do on movies.
Absolutely.
Is it that way?
Well, it is and it isn't. It depends on the movie you're watching,
okay.
Right? I'm not the girl with the crystal ball going, ooh, I see. Blah, 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 blah. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just not my style, not how I work. What I'm going to have you do is shuffle them up. You're going to put your energy on the cards. Yeah, there's no right or wrong way to shuffle. You can shuffle like you're playing cards, or you can just sort of, you can sort of do this. You can lay them out.
It's ironic that's the loudest thing you said today was tongue.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how it goes.
And what you were asking about when we're doing tarot, and by the way, this is how I view tarot. Tarot is a tool, one of many tools that I use to access my intuition, to access the psychic guidance. And so tarot is a tool that you can also learn to use to access.
Okay.
So I can do a 9-card spread. I can do a 15-card spread. I can do a 1-card spread. Today we're going to do 3 for the sake of time. But what I want you to do, you shuffle them all up. So now I want you to sort of just put in your mind a question that you maybe have. You don't have to share it, or you can share it. It doesn't matter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you choose 3 cards. And the first card I'm going to have you choose is, what is the heart of the matter for you right now, in this moment and in this month?
Okay.
And so you're just going to choose a card. You're going to put it face down on the table. And you can choose it from anywhere in the deck. Your next question is, what is hidden about this matter that needs to be revealed? What do you need to know about this that could really help you out? And then your third card is action steps that you can take regarding the heart of the matter. So you don't have to answer these questions in your mind. You're just thinking about the issue. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the cards one by one. So this was what is the heart of the matter. So you've got 9 of Pentacles. I'll just show the card here. Do I have to bring it really close?
Yep, there you go.
Okay. So 9 of Pentacles. So 9 of Pentacles in Tarot is a really happy card. It's a beautiful card. It's the card of gratitude. And it is a card that really symbolizes, and I feel like for you as I'm tapping into your energy, the heart of the matter for you is something's been going on in your mind. You've been thinking a lot. It's been stewing. It's been burning. You want to go. You want to do something. You want to fly free, and you want to do something really big. But you've got these concerns about, what is it going to look like from the other side? How am I actually going to be able to do it? And is it something I'm supposed to do? What you want to do with this card, this 9 of Pentacles, is you want to really step into the place of gratitude. What am I grateful for in my life? What am I grateful for in terms of what I have achieved, what it is that I have accomplished up to this point? And you want to gain a little bit of confidence and, I want to say, deeper awareness around the fact that you literally can do anything that you set your mind to. You get in your own way. As soon as you start to think a little bit bigger, right away, the self-sabotage voice comes in and says, wait a second. Who do you think you are? You know what happened the last time we did this. Don't get too big for your britches right now. Go slow. But your intuition or your instinct or the energy that you're tapping into says, no, don't worry about that. You don't have to do it that way. You can do it this way. And it's okay to follow that, I want to say, that pull or that draw. There's something big that's going to be coming up for you, a huge opportunity by the end of this year. You're going to want to be able to say yes to it, but you have to get out of your own way. And there's something that's percolating in the next couple of weeks that is kind of a precursor to that. So I feel like you're kind of laying foundation, and how you choose to respond to what's coming up in the next couple of weeks is going to affect whether or not you're going to say yes to this big opportunity or not. And it all comes down to how much joy can you allow in your life? And it's stepping outside of the how is it going to show up, and is it okay for me to take this much? Does it make sense that I'm skipping the line, so to speak, that I'm not necessarily having to do all these things that everyone else is doing, A to B to C? It's yes, I can allow as much joy into my life as I want. And it's about trusting. It's about a big trust, right? So this is the heart of the matter for you. And I started to talk about 9 of Pentacles, but it is a card of joy and gratitude. It's also, when we're talking about 9s, it's endings. So you're also coming to the end of a particular chapter. And what I mean by this for you is it's a way of thinking. There's a way of thinking. And I want to say there's a pattern or cycle that you've been caught up in for a while that you're finally saying, you know what? I'm ready to let this go. I don't need it anymore. And it's the right time. The universe is going to support you with that. God is going to support you with that. But you have to, it's like anything. God can show you the way, but you have to be able to step on the path. Right. You've got to take the steps for yourself, right? So that is the heart of the matter for you. What is hidden that needs to be revealed? I think you did this one. Mm-hmm. So this is 8 of Swords. And 8 of Swords is the card of entrapment. And I always say you can't make this shit up. So what did I just say to you about this card? I said, you have to be able to allow yourself, you have to get out of your own way and allow yourself to receive the joy. You have to say, you know what? It doesn't matter whether everybody is, under the sun has done it this way and found success. I'm being told I need to do it a different way and I'm still going to be successful. That's what you need to follow. So 8 of Swords is coming up to say you are on a path of mastery. You're ending a cycle so that you can open up into a new path of mastery. What is mastery? Mastery is feeling into my highest and deepest and fullest potential and saying, yes, I can do that. yes, I can get there. And I don't need to get there right now. I understand that it's a process, but I need to open myself to the process. And I need to stop judging myself. I need to surrender to what life shows up with me for, what life presents. And life presents things that sometimes we don't want. It's a shit sandwich. Sometimes it's shit sandwich A and shit sandwich B, but that shit sandwich is going to teach you something. It's going to get you over the hump and get you to that next big vista where you say, oh my God, I've arrived. I've done it. So 8 of Swords is coming through to say, you got to get out of your head. Your thoughts entrap you, and the thoughts of others can entrap you. So I'm going to say to you, when these 2 opportunities come up, you want to keep it to yourself. You do not want to share it with anybody else, because other people's words are going to get in your head. And I feel like that's kind of what part of what you're releasing as well, is the ego voice is our anxiety. The ego voice is constantly talking at us and saying, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that. And wait, well, because it's trying to protect you from pain. But you know what? Ripping off a Band-Aid is very different than sawing off your arm.
Right.
And all of it helps us to grow. So the ego, when it's overinflated and it doesn't know what it's doing, it stops us from growth, which means it stops us from opportunities. So 8 of Swords is coming through to say, stop listening to what everybody else has to say about your dreams, goals, and desires. Because it's their thoughts, their ego, their fear that gets into you, and you go, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I should rethink this. Ooh, no. Only you. Listen to you. When you have committed and resolved yourself to the path that you've chosen, then you can share, because it's sharing from a place of, guess what I'm doing? I'm really excited about it, and I'm really hoping I can have your support. It's not thinking about doing this. What do you think? So big things there. It's releasing the need to have other people's approval in a subconscious way. You've broken out of a lot of that on the surface, but again, what did I say? Fear is insidious, right? And sometimes it is under the surface. We talked about the survival mode. You don't really feel like you're going to die, but there's a part of you, a part of that ego that's popping up and saying, if you fail, ultimately this could lead to death. So for you, it's okay, I'm not listening to anybody else. And then this is action steps that you can take regarding the heart of the matter. I knew I was going to do that. Shit. 3 of Pentacles. And it's interesting that you got 2 Pentacle cards. So Pentacles is the element of earth. It's thoughts coming into being. It's the physical. It's the tangible. 3 of Pentacles is a card of collaboration. And I'm seeing here that whenever you, whatever path you choose with these 2 opportunities that are coming up for you, there is going to be a level of collaboration. But it's important for you to understand, I have the right to choose who I collaborate with. And that's huge, because whatever this opportunity is, it's a big deal. It's a BFD. And you're going to have a lot of people around you, I want to say, implying that there's a certain level of, you're obligated. It's an obligation. This person is doing this for you, so you owe them. You owe them this, you owe them that, you owe them the other thing. Hell no. If you're offering me the opportunity, let me do the opportunity by myself. Let me do it in my own way. Or let me tell you how the collaboration is going to work best so that I can create what it is that you're asking me to create. I don't need to be micromanaged. I certainly don't need to have obligation and strings attached to what you're giving me. And I feel like, just for your own edification here, it's not the person who's offering the opportunity for you that is going to be wanting or insisting that. It's someone else connected to them and connected to you that's going to be talking in your ear about it. And it's going to be up to you to say, I have a collaboration, or I'm choosing collaboration with this person, not with you. And there's a separation there.
Man, I really, the funny thing is,
We'll do part 2.
Yeah, we need to. We really need to know, because a lot of what you said, like, it's like that frequency. It's true.
Yeah.
And things that are happening, and how I've allowed other people's perceptions and words to like stop me from what I know.
Yes. You know at your core.
Yeah. So thank you. I'm gonna have to have you on
Yeah.
the show again. One of the things that we do on here is we do what we call a weekly win. And this, with all the negative shit that happens in the world, it's our way of stopping and saying, what is one thing that has happened that you were grateful for? And so I'm going to start. My weekly win is I'm in this show. I've told Keoni this play called Rent. And my director asked me, unsolicited, he asked me to represent another theater, to be the one that represents this theater in a show tonight. And I thought that was a really, really big thing. And so that's my weekly win, is that I get to do something that is so far outside of my comfort zone. But it's that good outside of your comfort zone.
Oh,
and I have no idea what will come of it, but I'm welcoming this thing with open arms. So that is my weekly win. What is
Congratulations on that.
Appreciate
Super exciting.
What is your weekly win?
So there are so many different weekly wins that I could choose. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm honestly going to say the weekly win for this week is showing up today and doing this show. I have social anxiety. I won't say that I struggle with that, because that means, you sort of claim it. But it is something that comes up for me on a pretty consistent basis, especially when I'm having to meet new people, having to put myself out there. And it's so funny that I've chosen a life where I'm constantly in the limelight. And, I've learned to adjust and adapt, but we have our ups and downs in life. And I didn't know how this was going to go. I had no idea really what to expect. I asked Keoni for a little more information. He was like, we're going to talk about this. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to wing it, and we'll just see what happens. And this was just so pleasant.
Oh, thank you.
And last week was a shit show. Last week was hell. And this is just such a beautiful, bright spot in the day. So thank you for having me on.
No, thank you so much. It was wonderful for me. I've learned more about myself, and I will be in contact with you more. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. DeAndre, your host, Miss Stacey, the all-inclusive black feather intuitive. Do we hit a like button, subscribe? I don't know. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope y'all have a blessed rest of the week.
I'm in the episode, bitches.
That's a wrap.
Thank you so much.